Okay, good afternoon everybody and welcome to the 4th Apprenticeship Employer webinar hosted by East Coast College. This afternoon we'd like to thank EDF, UK Power Networks and Doosan for joining us. The event this afternoon will talk briefly about an apprenticeship journey and then we'll pass over to each of the employers to explore their sector and opportunities. So what is an apprenticeship? Apprenticeships give you the chance to learn while you earn and also combine practical training in a job whilst learning in a college environment. As an apprentice, you'll be employed and work alongside experienced staff in the sector, gain job-specific skills, earn a wage and also holiday pay, and also get time off for training towards your apprenticeship. The length of the apprenticeship will depend on the level you're studying and can range from starting at level 2 all the way through to degree level at level 6. So just to give you a very brief overview of East Coast College, we obviously cover East Anglia in terms of Norfolk and Suffolk and have around 700 apprentices studying at any point during the year. We have an apprenticeship training team who are all experts in the field, and our facilities at college campuses are also second to none. We offer a range of apprenticeships and this model is all growing all of the time with new provision coming on board, but predominantly we have large cohorts in engineering, offshore wind, construction trades, as well as service industries, including business and management, and a new project management standard that's now coming on board. So how to become an apprentice? You can apply for an apprenticeship while you're still at school or college, but you do need to be over the age of 16 and living in England. To find an employer, you can also register a personal account on the National Apprenticeship Service on the web link below, where you'll actually get notification of current apprenticeship vacancies, including those at East Coast College. Another option is also send your CV out to employers in the sector, explaining your interest and what you are looking in terms of possible work experience or future opportunities. If you also gain your own apprenticeship connection, please do let the college know so we can make sure you're fully supported. So first of all, I'd like to pass over to our first presenter from UK Power Networks. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Rakia. And I'm speaking on behalf of UK Power Networks. So I want to do a quick introduction. There's a few of our employees on the call today. So if you could go to the next slide, please. Okay, so quick introductions, a bit about UK Power Networks, the apprenticeship scheme, and application process, and then you'll get a chance to meet some of our apprentices. Next slide, yeah. So as I said, my name's Rakia. I work in the recruitment team. I have my colleague Joseph as well, if he wants to quickly introduce himself.
Hello, I'm Joseph. I also work in the recruitment team, and I'm also helping out Rakia with the apprentices as well.
Okay, and then we have two of our apprentices on the call as well, Archie and William. So if they just want to do a quick hello and who you are.
My name's Archie. I'm an EHV fitter apprentice and I work in London.
Hi, I'm Will, same as Archie, EHV fitting apprentice, based in London.
Okay, next slide please. Okay, so Joe will take over now, yeah.
Yeah, I'm quite conscious of the time because we really want to get the questions answered by the apprentices, so I'll try and do this rather efficiently. So anyway, so who are UK Power Networks? So you are UK Power Networks, a DNO, so distribution network operator. We own, maintain, move, connect and upgrade electricity cables, lines and power equipment across London, the South East and East of England, making sure your lights stay on. Your electricity supply is the company you choose to buy your electricity from. So who you pay your bills to. So if you look on your bill, you'll see part of the bill goes to UK Power Networks, and that's for running and maintaining the power cables in your area. You probably most likely contact UK Power Networks as a customer. That's usually for a power cut in your area, or if you need a new power supply or need to make changes to your existing supply, or if you need any maintenance carried out near or on overhead power lines, for example, cutting trees back from power lines or covering overhead cables to protect them. Okay, next slide, please. So UKPN is one of 14 DNOs across the whole country. And we have quite a large area to look after, which was previously 3 separate DNOs converged into UK Power Networks. So our legacy companies beforehand, which are like from the 70s and 80s, have all kind of amalgamated into one company now, which is UK Power Networks. We actually have 3 different areas. If you can go on to the next slide, please, I'll explain it a bit more. Okay. Does it come up the map? Yeah, okay. You can see there's 3 different areas we look after there. So there is EPN, which is the Eastern Power Network, which is the north part of the map. You can see like Norwich and Chelmsford and Hemel Hempstead and all that. Then you've got London, which is LPN, so it's the London Power Network. And then you have SPN, which is the Southern Power Network, and that's the southern part of the map. Part of the area we look after is London, which is pretty much different from most areas of the country. It can be very challenging to look after. Reasons being that most of the cables and lines are underground and usually underneath very old structures. So while the rest of the country is open and lines and cables are overhead and can be easily accessed, the ones in London are a bit more trickier. Next slide, please. So this one is our visions, which are part of our culture of how we expect employees to act. So you've got the employer of choice. This is reflected in our employee engagement and ultimately how we see and treat our employees. We are currently in the Sunday Times top 100 companies to work for at number 11 and have been in the top 20 for the past 5 years. We've also won other numerous awards, for example, diversity and inclusiveness, best utility, employee recognition and health and safety awards, but to name a few. Respected and trusted corporate citizen. This is for us to aim to be reliable and have the best customer scores from any DNO, and we also aim to deliver on our commitments and if not to, and also manage our expectations if we can't. At the moment, our customer scores are highest we've ever had and the highest of any DNO. And then you have the third one, which is sustainably cost efficient. We aim to keep our costs down every year, but still deliver consistent and better service if we can, which we're managing to do. And then any profits we do make from the unregulated side of the business goes back into UK Power Networks in terms, in the way of like salaries or benefits. Next slide, please. This is our values. So these come off of our visions. The values make up the culture of UK Power Networks and its employees. We expect all our staff to reflect these values in and outside of the business. You can see this in our employees actually if you ever meet them, all the way from the field staff all the way to directors will reflect their values. Okay, that's me done. Next slide.
Okay, so the next slide is around the apprenticeship program and our recruitment process. Next slide, please. So there's 4 steps to our recruitment process when applying for our apprenticeship program. So first step is an online application. Next, if you're successful and you met the requirements, you'll do a situational judgment test. If you're successful on that, the next step will be a video interview. There won't be anyone on the other side of the interview. It will just be yourself answering questions and then upload the video. And then the next step is the assessment center and interview. Next slide, please. So our apprenticeship program, it's a level 3 apprenticeship as a Power Networks craftsperson. On completion, you'll obtain a certificate in electrical power engineering. The requirements are GCSE grades, a minimum of a 3 in maths and English. The starting salary is around 16,000. The start date for this year's intake will be September 2021. Applications will open around March 2021. And as a craft apprentice, you will learn one of the 3 trades, either a cable jointer, electrical fitter, or overhead lines person. Next slide, please. So a cable jointer. A cable jointer maintains and restores cables underground. They also carry out joints and repairs. As you can see in the pictures below, there are a lot of muddy holes and big puddles that they have to work in. Next slide, please. So an overhead lines person, similar to a jointer, however, working on the network above ground, maintaining and repairing cables. Next slide, please. And then last but not least, a fitter. So they work in substations. So unlike the other two trades, they won't be spending much time outside. So they'll be maintaining the substations. Next slide. Okay, so that's enough of us speaking about the company. I'm going to pass you over to two of our apprentices, Archie and Will. They were going to give you some, just tell you details about their experience on the program and what they've been up to.
So I started my apprenticeship 2018. So I've almost finished mine now. So in that time, sort of my first sort of year, I spent in colleges and training centres with 12 of the other apprentices, which we became very close with because ended up staying with each other, sharing rooms in hotels or dorms, whatever. So we met, had quite a close knit group of friends, and then which we still usually speak to today. So it's like friends for life. After that, we came back onto site. So me and Will work in London. So where there's limited space, you get to go in, you get to see a lot of the sides of the city that you don't really get to see when walking about. And yeah, that's me really.
Yeah, my experience similar to Archie's. The first year you pretty much live away from home during the week, out of hotels, and doing different courses. And then the second 2 years are mostly on site. So I'm actually parked on Leicester Square at the moment, which is quite cool. So yeah, it's I'm about the same amount of time through my apprenticeship as Archie, and kind of looking forward to actually getting out and being a proper fitter.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, guys. Can we go to the next slide, please? So questions will be done at the end. Next slide, please.
Lovely, thanks. Just before Dave kicks off, can I just ask anyone, if you have got any questions for any of the employers, can you just add them to the chat function, and then we can pick them all up at the end. Thank you.
Okay. Afternoon, everybody. My name's Dave Whitehouse, and I'm Head of Capacity Planning for Doosan Babcock. So my main role for the company is I'm responsible for the long-term resource strategy, of which obviously apprenticeships are a big part of that strategy. Doosan Babcock in the UK and Europe and the Middle East is part of the bigger Doosan group in Korea. And we span over 36 different countries, sorry. So obviously we're a global company. Next slide, please. The company's been around in the UK for over 125 years, and we've been involved in a lot of firsts within the energy sector over those years. We were first in to be involved in the first nuclear power station back in 1956 up at Chapel Cross, and we were involved in the last nuclear new build power station, which was back in the 90s, which is one of the stations I actually worked on when I was much younger. Next slide, please. So what do we do as Doosan Babcock? Well, like I said before, we're a global leader in the power engineering. We're over 125 years old. Our prime things we do is we build, maintain, repair and modernise power stations, whether that's coal, gas or nuclear, to extended life. We also work on major oil and gas refineries, ensuring that the assets are as efficient and effective as possible. We build and optimize pharmaceutical plant. We've got asset management team across all the industries, sectors, bringing innovative solutions to the life extension of the plant. And we also offer project management capabilities across all these types of projects. Next slide, please. If you were to join Doosan Babcock, you'd be joining over 2,000 craft personnel and 700 professional staff here in the UK. We currently offer work on 60 operating sites across the UK. So, like we said before, gas, coal, pharmaceutical, petrochemical. We've got a UK power plant. The UK power plant in the UK, it needs replacing long term. It's really aging. So there's obviously opportunities within the UK to have a long term secure future. We've got highly competitive pay rates in our sector, and we're considered to be one of the best of what we do. Okay. And obviously, like I said before, we're part of a global business providing opportunities all over the world. Next slide, please. As part of my want to talk about today's, as well as Doosan Babcock opportunities, I'd like to talk about the MEH apprenticeships. MEH stands for Mechanical, Electrical and Heating and Vent. And that's the alliance operating on Hinkley Point C. Next slide, please. So the Hinkley Point C is the current new nuclear power station being built in the UK. It's a large project which is probably going to go on for the next 5 to 6 years in the build phase, and we're just coming into the mechanical phase now, taking over from the civils. As part of that alliance, we're working. We've got Altrad, Balfour Beatty Bailey, Cavendish Nuclear, ourselves, Doosan. And as part of that JV, obviously we're working with EDF Energy for HPC, which gives us the MEH Alliance. Okay, next slide, please. So as part of that JV delivery partners, we've got Balfour Beatty Bailey, who are doing all the electrical installation work on site. So they're going to be putting all the electrical cables into over 4,000 rooms on the new station. We've got Cavendish Nuclear. So they are doing what's called the Boiler Island, Nuclear Island installation. So that's the main nuclear area. We've got Doosan Babcock, and we're going to be responsible for what they call the balance of plant, the BOP, which is all the pipe work outside of the main nuclear area. And we're also going to be responsible for HVAC installation. The HVAC being the heating, ventilation and air conditioning units. Okay. And then the fourth partner is Altrad, and Altrad are going to be providing all the enabling services. So things like scaffolding and all the access to all the other services like electrical, water, all those types of services required on the site. Next slide, please. Right, so the individual companies are going to be offering apprenticeships on that particular project. So Altrad, so over the course of the next 3 to 4 years, Altrad are going to be offering apprenticeships in level 2 scaffolding, level 2 commercial thermal installation operative, and a level 2 industrial coatings applicator. So as like I said before, with Altrad, they're actually offering they're going to be supplying all the services to the site, and those apprenticeships are predominantly a 12 months or 18-month apprenticeship program. I'll explain a little bit at the end on how this is going to work. Okay, if you'd like to go on to the next slide, please. So then we've got Balfour Beatty Bailey. So they're offering a trade apprenticeship in level 3 installations, electrician, stroke maintenance electrician. It'll be a level 3 qualification. They've got no minimum GCSE requirements, and obviously they're going to be looking for apprentices for the Hinkley Point C project. Balfour Beatty Bailey are going to be putting something in the range of 800 electricians onto the Hinkley Point C project. Okay, Next slide, please. Cavendish Nuclear. Cavendish, again, like I said before, they're going to be doing the main boiler islands. So they're going to be installing and welding most of the large pipework installations on that site. So they're looking for level 3 pipe welders. They're going to be looking for level 3 engineering construction pipe fitters. And they're also going to be looking for some level 3 project control technicians. Okay. Cavendish Nuclear, the way they're going to operate their apprenticeship programs is there'll be an element of off the job at college, and obviously there'll be the rest of the 2-year apprenticeship program will be carried out on site. Okay, if you'd like to go to the next slide, please. So we get to Doosan Babcock. So I've already explained about the company. We're going to be offering level 3 pipe fitting qualification, construction pipe fitter, level 3 pipe welder, and we've got our own welding training school in the West Midlands, as you can probably tell from the accent. So we've got a 60-bay welding school in the West Midlands, so we do most of our training in the West Midlands before we go to site. We're also going to offer a level 3 engineering construction erector stroke rigger apprenticeship and a level 3 project control technician. As Rachel explained at the start, our apprenticeship offers not just Doosan, but all the partners, delivery partners, are going to offer apprenticeship programs, which obviously depth 3 path to earning, an industry-leading qualification, a competitive salary through the 3-year apprenticeship program. The welding apprenticeship program is actually going to be a 4-year program. The opportunity to learn from world-class engineers and other professionals, and it's a great opportunity to obviously to go on to the Hinkley Point C project, if that's something you would like to try. There's going to be a mix of learning and our dedicated training facilities and real work experience at sites around the UK. Both Doosan Babcock and the other delivery partners, whilst we're recruiting for Hinkley Point C, because obviously that's a major construction site at the moment, and that's one of our main focuses, we're still recruiting for all the other areas of our business as well in the UK. And as I said before, we actually operate on 60 sites around the UK. So there is other opportunities apart from Hinkley, but Hinkley is one of our main focuses over the next couple of years. Okay. Before I go on to talk about the heritage, I think it's important to say that with any of the apprenticeship programs we're offering with the delivery partners, we see it as a great opportunity to obviously go to Hinkley, learn your trade as well as the learning you'll do at college as well, but to go on site, learn your trade. And for people who are from East Anglia are really interested in maybe working on Sizewell C, when that Sizewell C opportunity comes along, then obviously what you will have done is obviously embedded your skills, learnt your skills and your knowledge on Hinkley, which is the current nuclear new build. And then as a tradesperson, you'll be able to then move onto Sizewell and actually carry on with your career as a fully qualified electrician, pipe fitter, welder, project control engineer. You know, you'll be able to go onto that project when that project starts. So we see it as a really good opportunity. Also, because we're all obviously major companies as well, you know, it'll open many doors to and offerings to huge opportunities with obviously other companies within the UK as well, if that's something you want to pursue later on in your career. I always say that an apprenticeship program is literally the first rung of the ladder. And we've got many senior engineers, directors, people who sit on the senior leadership team. And in fact, even our CEO of our company have all come from the apprenticeship program route. Okay. The last slide I just want to share is obviously, you know, we recognise excellence in learning, and we recognise people who really put that extra mile into their apprenticeship programs, and we try to reward them by obviously putting them through for different awards. And you can see there, that's just a list of awards or people we've put forward to awards over the last 10 years. So anything from the World Skills through to the last one in the IMechE Engineering Technician of the Year for 2020. So we really do recognise people's talent, and that's me. Okay, thank you.
Lovely, thanks, Dave. And now I'd like to pass over to Sarah from EDF.
Hello there. Just check that you can all hear me okay. Right, welcome. Well, it's lovely to follow on from the team from UK Power Networks and Dave from Doosan, because it kind of just shows and makes so how relevant all of these various apprenticeships are and how transferable all of the skills are. So if we could just move to the next slide, please. So a little bit about me and EDF. So I work for Sizewell B Power Station. So we're the big white dome on the beach on the east coast, if you look along the beach, and we're a nuclear power station. And although, as Dave has just been discussing, they're building a new power station at Hinkley Point C, which is one of our sister sites. We are currently the newest nuclear power station in the UK and the only operating pressurised water reactor within the UK. So go next slide, please. I feel like Chris Whitty now. So we're the one on the right on the east coast here. We have one pressurised water reactor currently, but Hinkley under construction. 7 gas reactors, advanced gas reactors, a battery storage facility, gas storage, and as you see there, 35 wind farms, and that's growing all the time. So it's we're really part of the energy mix in the UK. So all of the skills and qualifications you learn with us are really transferable throughout the energy industry. Look at next slide, please. So Sizewell B, what do? We power low carbon electricity, so we don't put anything into the atmosphere. We're not carbon polluting. For 57.7 million homes is the amount we've generated over the course of our lifespan. We probably supply all the electricity equivalent to all of the houses in Norfolk, Suffolk and Essex is kind of how we equate it. We employ 800 local people, so during the apprenticeship period, you are off site for the first couple of years, but it's a requirement for our staff to live within 25 miles of the power station so that you can respond should we need you to, and so that you're kind of part of the local community. And we've had visitor centre, which is where I normally work, showing as well as recruitment and apprenticeships, we show schools and colleges around this power station. So we have made a virtual tour, but in perhaps the interest of time, I won't play it at the moment unless the host gives me a chance at the end and says we've got a little bit of time. Perhaps we can click back to that. But that's Poppy, one of our degree level apprentices, talking us around the power station. But if we go on to the next slide, please, for now. Okay, so as well as Sizewell B, as Dave was just mentioning, there's lots of opportunities there in our upcoming project Sizewell C, which will be the newest nuclear power station in the country and a kind of an exact replica of the one they're building at Hinkley Point. So Young Sizewell C is an opportunity for people in the 16 to 21-year-old age bracket to sign up, and we'll keep you updated of all of the apprenticeships, career opportunities with our partners such as Doosan and Power Networks and people like that are involved in the project, and keep you up to date with all the career opportunities as they become available. You'll get the first nod for when recruitment windows are in place and when we start to take you on. And you can go online, and there's lots of case studies where you can find out and hear firsthand the experiences of other apprentices and how they've found the project. Okay, next slide, please. So more specifically, the maintenance apprenticeship at Sizewell B. So this is perfectly timed because our apprenticeship window is open at the moment, and in fact closes in 4 days' time. So if you like what you hear, we're currently recruiting for our September intake. So now's the perfect time to apply. So I'll explain a little bit more about that. So next slide, please. So it's a 4-year modular programme. The first 2 years are you're resident at National College for Nuclear in Somerset, so that's very close to Hinkley Point C, and it's where we send all of our apprentices from around the company. So you'll be joining apprentices that might be based at Heysham or Hinkley Point or Dungeness or Torness. So you'll all be there as one cohort. So it's a little bit like, I suppose, a university experience, but without the expense, I suppose. So it's a bit like a university experience. It's on a campus, and as well as the engineering maintenance apprentices, we have our degree level apprentices, some of our chemistry apprentices spend time down there. So it's really where we develop all of our apprentice skills and education, and it's a whole focus on the nuclear industry there. So the first 2 years are down there. While you're there, we pay for all of your accommodation, we pay for your food, we pay you to go and every month, and then we provide accommodation back to your home in Suffolk or wherever your base location may be, at the end of every term or half term. So for the first 2 years, you really are kind of working to that same sort of college timetable in terms of time you're spending away from home. So the first year, it's a bit of an overview of engineering, where we give you a broad brush look at all of the engineering disciplines. And at the end of that first year, in conjunction with where your skills lie, where your preferences and where the business needs people, we, by mutual agreement, decide then whether you're going to specialise on control and instrumentation, electrical engineering or mechanical engineering. So typically, if you like getting greasy and dirty and stripping apart a turbine, you'd probably go on a mechanical. If you prefer the kind of finer stuff and want to keep your overalls clean, then it's control and instrumentation or electrical. But all of them have a variety of jobs across the power station. So I think one of the key things that all of our apprentices say is no 2 days are ever the same. So after your first 2 years there, and you've got your kind of broad brush of kind of engineering skills under your belt, and you've decided on your specialism, at the end of the 2 years, you're back at Sizewell and you work alongside our maintenance teams in whichever discipline you're specialising in. So it's a maintenance and operations engineering technician apprenticeship certificate, BTEC ONC qualification. So also, if you have the desire and show the aptitude and the enthusiasm, we will, alongside that, support you in studying for your HNC as well. So we'll take you up to that higher level. Entry requirements are 5 GCSEs at grade C or above, or grade 4 as it is now, grade 4 or above. With maths, really, where we look for the strengths. So you need a good grade 4 in maths. There's quite a heavy maths bent in an engineering qualification. So as well as the English and maths, we look for 2 sciences or technical subjects. So if you've done physics or chemistry, that's great. But if not, if you've done computer science or an engineering qualification at college instead, so a BTEC qualification or something like that, or BTEC or a GCSE in engineering, then they're just as relevant. And then the 5th qualification is anything else that you've studied to that level, and really that kind of tells us a little bit about you and the sort of things you enjoy. So the basic pay in the first year is 12,000. So like I said before, we're paying for all of your accommodation, education, food and transport. So that's sort of 12,000 in the year. That's pocket money really. And then by the end of your 4th year, you're up to 24,000, and most of our apprentices in their 4th year are kind of looking at overtime and drive very nice cars if that's the sort of thing you enjoy. And as I said, we've got our recruitment window that's been extended now from January to February the 14th, and you can there's a link there where you can apply, and we'll take you through the application process online. Next slide, please. So what happens next? So you apply, put your online application through. I'd urge you to read those really very carefully and make sure you're following the instructions to make sure you get that application in correctly. And then you'll be invited to psychometric testing, which is just a standardized testing that many employers use. Just kind of look at your strengths and weaknesses, and you can find examples of that, and there's a link on this presentation to examples. And for anyone that won't have access to this after, we can contact myself, and we're quite happy to share these presentations with you. Once you're through the psychometric testing stage, then we take you to interview stage and a practical assessment. So what we're looking for isn't obviously that somebody that knows how to be an engineer, but it's somebody that knows how to kind of listen and perhaps approaches a practical task in the right way. So are you using the safety gloves or goggles that are at the side if that's appropriate, or are you someone that rushes in? So those sorts of things and are kind of involved at the assessment stage. And oh, sorry, my screen's just frozen. Sorry, apologies while I log back in for a moment. Before being offered an apprenticeship, if you're a successful candidate, then you would be required to have an on-site medical, and it all being a nuclear power station. All of our employees are subject to achieving nuclear vetting and references, and then we obviously have to confirm that you've met the entry requirements. Next slide, please. So as well as the engineering maintenance apprenticeship, we're also offering a 4-year degree apprenticeship, and this will be studying for a bachelor's degree in engineering with on-job training and practical experience. So rather than 2 years residential, the first year is a residential at the Nuclear College at the College for Nuclear in Somerset, with years 2 and 3 are more block placements and sort of work-based placements here, and then for the year 4 you're permanently here, kind of really practicing what you've learned at college and finalising that degree. So typically you might be with our systems engineering department, where you'd be assigned to work alongside an engineering group who would be responsible for a particular system. So it might be steam and rotating plant, or one of those particular systems, and you'll be working alongside the engineer responsible for that. Entry requirements, 102 UCAS points, so that's 3 A levels at grade C or above, or BTEC equivalent, and we're looking for a science or a relevant subject in those A levels. And again, maths is really a strong requirement at this level. So starting at 17,821 with an annual pay increase, and again you can apply online. At the moment we've also got a chemistry apprenticeship that we're recruiting for as well. So I'd really urge you to have a look at the EDF Early Careers web pages, and as Dave said from Doosan earlier, as well as the Sizewell B opportunities. We've got opportunities at our Sizewell, our Hinkley Point C project, which could then lead to opportunity to working locally at Sizewell C, Sizewell B or Sizewell C. And in fact, last year for Sizewell C, in preparation for that, although it's not due to start building for a while yet, we've already started to recruit things like project controls apprentices and civil engineering apprentices and quantity surveying. So there's a real breadth of career choices out there with us. Okay, so that's just a picture of the accommodation. As I said, it's a bit of a campus type feel down there. You have a single room. I think they're all en suite, and yeah, it's a well supported provision down there. So some of our students and apprentices down there are only 16 years of age, so there's a good deal of pastoral support on site there as well. And next slide, please. Okay, and that's some of our apprentices in the workshops down at the college. So although a lot of it is it's kind of college-based learning, it's not all classroom learning, it's practical learning. Okay, next slide, please. So during the first week, so once we do your recruitment now, and you'd go through the recruitment processes throughout February and March and into April, ready to start in September. And the first thing we do in September is get all of our year cohort together before we send them off to Somerset, and we take them on an outward bound sort of team building exercise, so they really get to know all the people they're going to be living with and working with over the next 2 years or 4 years if their base location is back here. And I wonder if we could just play that little video, please, if possible.
Hello, my name's Neil Gottbold and I'm the Apprentice Coordinator for EDF Energy at Sizewell B. We're offering a 4-year apprenticeship in maintenance engineering, which gives you the skills and attributes to work as a technician on a nuclear power station.
I'm Lee Roberts. I'm a Year 3 C&I Maintenance Technician Apprentice at Sizewell B.
I'm Chris Knight and I am a Mechanical Maintenance Apprentice for Sizewell B Power Station.
The best part of the apprenticeship is about being able to earn and learn as well while you're on the job. It's really great being back on site. You get to learn so much from all the technicians that are around you and everyone's there to support you.
The best part of the apprenticeship for me is learning new skills every day and putting your mind to a challenge every single day to learn new skills and really push yourself to do better.
The most challenging part of the apprenticeship for me has been moving away and having to live down at the National College for Nuclear, but it's really good because everyone around you is there to support you and you're all in the same position, so you've got a great support network.
The living accommodation at the National College for Nuclear is really good. They've just brand new built you accommodation to live at, and the facilities there are top of the range and brand new equipment, technology and anything to help you learn and do better in your apprenticeship.
The qualifications you get in your apprenticeship are the first 2 years you do your BTEC level 3, and then the second 2 years when you're back at site you work towards your EPA, which is the endpoint assessment. My advice to anyone considering applying for this apprenticeship would be to do your research about the power station before you join, and if and when you get an interview it would be to make sure you do proper preparation and you're ready for the interview.
My advice to anyone considering applying is really know what you're applying for before you think about applying for the job, and make sure you do your research into what the job is going to entail and where you're going to work and all the other aspects of the job. I would highly recommend the apprenticeship to my friends and family, as it's a really good apprenticeship for both pay and progressing your career and making a good living for yourself and making sure your family's looked after.
I would definitely recommend this apprenticeship to anyone. I've really enjoyed it so far and I'm sure I'm going to carry on continuing to learn more and grow as a technician.
So hopefully that's given you a little bit of an insight into what it's like from the point of view of one of our apprentices, or two of our apprentices there. And actually that's Chris, you can see in the white t-shirt in the picture there. So if you could just have a look at the next slide, please. So really that's it from me about apprenticeships. And yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions at the end.
Brilliant. Thank you, everybody, for that. So we've got a few questions that have come in either in the chat box or before the event. So bit on the spot, employers and apprentices, apologies. So Archie and William, where is the best place or the most diverse place you've done a job since you've been on your apprenticeship?
I don't know. I'm trying to think. We've been all about the place. So where Will is now, in Leicester Square, that's quite not a strange place to work. It's not where you work, literally underneath the square. So it's a big site at the moment. So there's a lot of people about, which is quite good. But I don't know, Will, what do you have to say?
Yeah, probably Leicester Square. I mean, it's probably what, 3 floors underground.
Yeah, about there.
And they're just about to take some transformers out of it. That I've spent the past few weeks here just taking cables out and just ripping out all the old stuff, ready for loads of new stuff to go back in. So
Great stuff.
yeah, it's quite a.
Okay, thanks.
Right.
So for the employers on the call, can you state the most important personal quality that you think is important to the apprenticeships or the sector?
I'm happy to answer. From our point of view, it would be communication, without doubt. So listening, speaking, communicating, working as part team with good communication skills, I think.
Lovely. And Dave?
For me, I think, team working, communication, really important. But as a personal, I think you need to be, really self-motivated, because our apprentices are a bit like EDFs as well, and networks where you are going to be away from home. So being self-motivated and being able to get yourself up on a morning, get yourself into your lessons, or is really important.
Okay, lovely. And anything from UK Power Networks?
Yeah, I was just going to add on that. So like the others said, teamwork is very important within an apprenticeship. You're with random people, random apprentices, obviously might be the same age, bit older, with a lot of different people with different skills and qualities. So it's good to be able to work in a team and get on, because you'll be spending a lot of time with them, and you sort of start to become friends and more like a family, spending time with each other in the colleges, doing teamwork activities. So teamwork is very important, and knowing that you've just got each other's back, you're there if you need anyone, and the support is there.
Yeah, and I'd like to just add on to that, like, self-motivation, as Dave said, as they go through, they've got to build up portfolios and stuff. Like no one's gonna push them to do that. They have to go do it off their own back. You know what I mean? So it's like self-motivation and willingness to do that.
Brilliant, thank you. Another question is, obviously, with the apprenticeships, there's some time at the beginning of the apprenticeship where I'd spend more time in college. Would I still be learning out on site as soon as I started my apprenticeship, or is that only in the latter years?
From EDF point of view, that's the first 2 years are down at the college. In the second year, they spend some time out. Obviously, we don't give them the full school holiday entitlement, so we do have them back on site doing kind of familiarising themselves and getting used to the working environment when we're outside of that college term time. So they get annual holiday entitlement as opposed to full school kind of holiday entitlement. So there are opportunities to get on site, but there's a gradual increase throughout the 4 years for that time. The second year more so, and 3 and 4 you're on site permanently. But the college learning isn't all classroom based. So much of what you do in the workshops there is exactly what you would be doing back on site anyway.
Lovely. And is that the same for the other 2 companies?
Yeah, so that's very similar to us as well. It's a 3-year program. First year is predominantly a lot of in-class training. Not all of it will be in class. However, on this sort of going towards the second and the third year, that's when you can get a chance to go out on site and get some more physical experience.
Doosan operates slightly different model, where we do all our off the job training in the first 7 to 8 months, and then we go out onto site and then embed your skills and your knowledge out on site, and then get assessed out on site. You come back in the third year as part of your EPA.
Lovely, thanks guys. Okay, so obviously maths is important to any job role, and quite critical in terms of most engineering subjects. If a student just missed out on getting that grade 4 in maths, would there still be the opportunity to undertake an apprenticeship and maybe resit their maths?
From EDF's point of view, well, first thing I'll say is you don't have to join us at 16. And in fact, most of our apprentices, a good deal of our apprentices are kind of 17, 18, 19. You know, we've had, I think Chris, who you spoke in the video, was about 21, 22 when he joined us. So if it's something that you really strive for, then I would encourage you to resit and to keep trying and don't give up at the first hurdle. A good deal of our apprentices kind of get in and are successful in their application on the second or third attempt. So quite often having some further study experience or some work experience in the real world will set you up to be a successful candidate, really. So it is a pre-requirement for English and maths for us. If you do continue to study with maths throughout the scheme, then we do provide additional maths tuition. So if somebody finds the maths element particularly challenging, we do provide additional maths support, but obviously that's an additional something that you're going to have to continue to contend with when you're learning through the engineering program. But we do have to make sure people have met that minimum maths and English requirement before we accept them onto the scheme.
Is that the same for Doosan, Dave? You're muted, Dave.
We prefer people obviously with a 4 in maths as a minimum. But it's not, if we take people through the interview stage and the assessment stage, we can offer that maths and functional skills element as part of the apprenticeship program. So
Okay.
it is preferred, but we you know, it's not a blocker to get an apprenticeship. It wouldn't be a blocker.
Okay, and UK Power Networks?
Yeah, it's very similar to us. So our requirements for our foundation program is a minimum of a grade 3, which is equivalent to a D. So we're quite flexible on the requirements. However, we do require that in maths and English before you start the program.
Okay, lovely, thank you. And last question, if I'm currently studying a college course at A-levels, what can you suggest I can do to get some valuable work experience?
I would encourage anybody at any age, whether they're at sort of doing A-levels, GCSEs, to kind of get some work experience, either in part-time work, and it doesn't have to be in the field that you want to go into. It just shows that you can commit to an employer and work as part of a team. Also apply to people like us. We take on work experience normally. We've struggled this year in COVID, but normally we take on work experience in from school age people and college, you know, studies. So yeah, any part-time work you can get, and you know, don't forget to include on your CVs sort of anything that shows a commitment and a level of teamwork and that sort of thing. So the more relevant, the better, but don't be put off of accepting a job if it isn't relevant to the area you want to go into.
Okay, and I think that's really important, Sarah, because you mentioned about those transferable skills.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're forgotten, aren't they? So that's a really valid
Absolutely,
point.
absolutely.
Yeah, is that the same for UK Power Networks?
Yeah, so it's exactly the same. So we don't really offer any work experience as such within our organisation, but like Sarah said, it's best to get some experience where you can, anywhere as possible, if it's not in the area that you want to work in. However, you can gain other attributes, communication skills, teamwork, all of those sort of things within that.
Lovely. And Dave?
Yeah, the same for us really. We find it difficult to offer work experience out on site. It's quite difficult for us because obviously we're on the client site. But again, you know, when we're going through that interview and assessment stage, it is favourable obviously if people have gone and done some sort of part-time work, because again, obviously like you say, communication, teamwork, that type of skill is picked up, you know, no matter what type of activity, you know, work activities you do. It doesn't have to be relevant to engineering.
Yeah, lovely. So that's all the questions we've got. Just like to say an amazing thank you to the people that have joined today. from the sector, and it's been really eye-opening, and I'm sure a lot of the students and young people on the call or who will be watching the videos will be really motivated to explore the sector and the opportunities more. So thank you ever so much.